Hello and welcome to the second round of the second Man on Fire Film Toribash tournament. I'm your man, Jack Morris, and reaching for the stars tonight are the camouflaged king, it's Fancy, and possible cyborg, possible badass, it's Marrez. So, without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, here we are, Marrez versus Fancy. Two members of the same clan, a 10th Dan Black Belt versus a 5th Dan Black Belt. I have a sneaky feeling we're about to see something very special here, guys, so settle in, because it's going to be a very hard-fought bout. Now, I can't help but notice that both these players are in the same clan, so I do sort of feel like they're both fighting for the pride of their clan, if you will. The chance to represent their clan in this tournament. Let's see how they're going to open. Okay, so you have Fancy on the left here going for what looks like a twist. I imagine he's intending to try and throw Marrez out here. I do hope I'm saying that right. Marrez playing a very defensive strategy there, bracing for that. Left my phone on. That's embarrassing. Moving along. Yes, looks like Marrez playing a defensive play here, although it could be a fake out. Yeah, no, it does look like Marrez is going defensive here, staying low, keeping his center of gravity very centered, and not giving Fancy a chance to throw him. Well, hence why Fancy appears to have changed his tactic ever so slightly, does not appear to be going for the throw anymore, although 10th Dan and 5th Dan Black Belts probably know a hell of a lot more about what they're doing than I do, so I could be very wrong in that matter. Now, I do notice that Fancy has a dislocated wrist. Not the worst thing he could dislocate in this tournament, honestly, but it might still come back to bite him. It's still not, it's still not ideal. It is interesting to say that both players are mirroring each other quite well here, at least on the lower body. The upper body, however, seems to be relatively different, but their legs are almost identical. That looks really cool, actually, especially if you spin. So Marrez's defensive play does appear to be starting to falter now, however. He's being bent over backwards, which is never a good sign. Both players grabbing each other's hands as well, which means that neither player is letting go without the other's permission. That's going to be an issue for Marrez if Fancy manages to push him over here. And let's not forget, in Wave 1, there is only one bout of Aikido, so he has to make this count. Let's see how they follow this up. I imagine he's going to try and get his leg like that underneath to make sure that Fancy doesn't get to push him over. Now that Fancy's in the air, he is at a disadvantage because Marrez definitely knows what he's doing here. And I really don't know how he'll pull this back around. If he can get his legs onto the floor, if Fancy can get his legs onto the floor, he'll be right back where he started. He'll be at no disadvantage. But I imagine Marrez is not going to let him get away with being in the air. I imagine he's going to punish him dearly for this. I do think Fancy might be out here. That leg, that knee, and the speed he's going to go down with it, I think even extending his knee isn't going to work here. But a 5th Dan Black Belt might know how to get out of this, but I do not see a way. Marrez definitely reversed that pretty well. The attempted throw out there was not well placed, I guess is the word I'm looking for there. Let's see how this goes. And the first round goes to Marrez as predicted. 1-0 to Marrez. That was well played. Fancy really didn't stand a chance there right at the end. His knee was obviously going out. There's really no way he could have pulled that back around. Alright, so we're going to switch over to our second mod now. So here we are in Twin Swords. It's going to be really interesting to see how two really high caliber players like this perform in Twin Swords. I mean, as mods go, it's not exactly the most skill dependent mod in the world, so it'll be interesting to see how two very skilled players perform in it. Now, I have done my homework, and like last round, I do now know that disqualifications are off and your arms and feet are both insta-give. I do now know that, thanks to the comments of last week's video. Not last week, this week's video, because this is coming out tomorrow. Yeah, it's going to be cool to see how high-performance players like these perform, and it does, I mean, it's awkward to talk about because there's really not a lot of tactics that I can talk about. I mean, Twin Swords is a, well, you can get quite lucky in Twin Swords, I'd say. It's kind of why I put it in as a wildcard mod to try and mix things up. Does appear as though, I keep forgetting who's who. Marrez on the left, going for a spin slash that just completely missed, although that could just be him setting himself up for a move that he could follow that up with. It's pretty hard to say at this early stage of the round. Fancy, however, appears to be going for a kind of right-hand slash here that I do think will connect unless Marrez can move out of the way. This could be deadly, and I think we're about to see whether that's going to work there. Oh, he blocks it! No, it's a very, very good effort of Marrez there to block that sword, but alas, Fancy has caught his leg, and that's the first dismember of this round, and I think he's about to catch his hand too, which is going to be very, very devastating. And if he plays it right, he might be able to get his other leg as well. Fancy now with a sizable advantage, especially considering disqualifications are off. He could pretty much just lie on the floor and wait for things to go out of the arena. Marrez actually making a pretty good recovery there to get on top of Fancy, although I do feel like he is seriously risking some of his body parts doing that. I mean, all Fancy seems to have to do here is contract his elbow, and he's going to get most of his body. That body part right there, Marrez's as well, probably going to be a big deal. Does appear to be flying at a pretty rapid velocity, actually, so it might not tap him out in the frames, but that is something to be concerned of. These body parts do seem to be pretty safe. I highly doubt they'll roll out, but this little jib right here is going to be an issue. Let's see what's going on over here. I think his arm's safe. Oh, he's lost his other hand. I can't believe I didn't see that. Fancy's hand has come off and also cut off Marrez's hand. So both players are now down one arm, and Fancy is not Fancy. Wait, I thought Marrez's. Oh, it was Fancy's leg. Okay, I thought it was Marrez's leg. Am I getting them muddled up? Yes, it was Marrez's leg. I'm getting their skins muddled up in my head. Goddamn. Oh shit, decap. Wow, I guess that makes the first decap of the tournament. I didn't even see how that happened because I was too busy yammering to myself. What's going on? Oh, I think Fancy's about to take this. I really think he is about to take this. We'll see what's going on. I think that's about to touch the ground. And Fancy wins round 2. So we go into a 1-1. You'll notice I'm scrolling up just to make sure I'm getting this right. Yes, it's 1-1 to both players. That means we go into our third and final round. 1-1. This is cool. Let's move on to our next mod. Now, much like with Twin Swords, 360 Gold People is a mod that you can get very lucky in. So I am once again very excited to see how a 10th Dan and 5th Dan Black Belt perform in 360 Gold People. I really would like to see if any skill can be performed in this mod, because it is such a silly mod and it's very easy to lose your body parts that I really would like to see if it's possible to have any kind of holy shit, that might be the most impressive first turn I've seen. So, Fancy off to a very, very early lead there. I'm not even sure if he actually did anything or whether Marrez did that to himself. Marrez is now bifurcated, Fancy is missing an arm, and we're both players. Wow, that was really, really quick. That's really, that was really sudden. I was not expecting that to be over so quickly. Now, Fancy's body parts might not be, although that little jib right there seems to be spazzing out. And Fancy is flying close to the end. I keep getting their skins muddled up. It's so annoying. Marrez being bifurcated, Fancy flying through the air. According to the ghosts, I mean, he can land it because he has most of his body. I guess disqualifications aren't on. There was a question by Mystery in the chat there. Or maybe he just landed it with his hand. It's hard to say. That was a really, really sudden bifurcate there. I was not expecting to see that within the first frame. That was a really good kick by Fancy. Yes, I still had to check, because for some reason these skins just are not sinking into my brain today. I'm usually better at it than I am. Now that body part of Fancy's, I think, is going to be his downfall, because it looks like both players are able to balance here. Now, I'm not actually sure if disqualifications is on in this mod, but it seemed to be when me and John did it, but it might be different here. Hard to say. How long is that arm thing? I think that arm thing's not really going to be that big an issue. I think it's got at least 100 frames before it hits the ground. But both players appear to be balanced now. I think it's going to come down to which body part hits the ground first, essentially. I think we're about to see. Marrez still keeping a good balance there, and Fancy definitely with an advantage in the air. Nothing's about to touch the ground of Fancy's, unless Marrez plans to throw the body part out of the ring. That would be an interesting tactic that could work really well for him. Could spike it into the ground just outside of the ring. But it does look like Fancy's body part's about to tap him out, making Marrez the victor. I think we are about to find out here. And I guess disqualifications are off. That is news to me. I thought disqualifications were on. We will probably be turning that on for future rounds. I had no idea. So I guess it's going to come down to points now, which is very interesting. This is a very close game in terms of points. Marrez, Fancy in the lead, but Marrez only 6,000 points behind. Okay, disqualifications are on. Okay, we're learning, guys. We're all learning. We're learning as this goes on. What disqualified him there? Did we run out of frames, or is it head? Head disqualifies. In Gold, 360 Gold People, your head disqualifies you. And the winner is, I'm going to have to check because I wasn't looking at the name. The winner of the second round is Fancy. Fancy will progress to the second wave. That was kind of a mess. I will learn what disqualifies by next round, guys. I promise. I should have known that. I did it in mine and John series. I'd worked out what disqualifies. I should have bloody known that. I hope you guys don't get too mad at me flumbling about there. But yes, Fancy is the victor. My condolences to Marrez. You both fought very, very well. I always love it when it goes to the final round. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have, guys. Check back soon. Probably next. No, not probably. Definitely next week for the next round. I'm Jack Morris from Man of Fire Films, guys, and I shall see you next time. Goodbye.